Chapter 15, A Night to Remember. Luke... Fuck. Chapter 15, A Night to Remember. Luke had played on his Xbox for 10 hours before passing out on flaming hot Cheetos and sugar-free Mountain Dew. He was awoken by a sudden jolt. He realized he wasn't on the couch in front of his Xbox 69 420 Pro Com Edition. He was on a bus. He looked around. It was full of other people. Some were in weird costumes, some wore clothes ranging from beach gear to suits to rags. Next to Luke sat a grown man wearing a grey suit and black sunglasses. "Excuse me, sir. Which bus is this?" Luke asked. The grown man looked at him.
"I don't know, man,"
a child voice said. Luke was startled before realizing the voice came from the grown man. "Excuse me?" Luke asked.
"I don't know. I'm living at Coney Crossroads. What about you?"
the grown child said. Wait a minute. Coney Crossroads? Why did that sound familiar? Luke looked out of the window, and below him was an island covered in green grass and buildings. Luke's heart sank. "I can't be here. This place isn't real," Luke said, before realizing the grown child was gone. Luke watched him jump out of the flying bus. "No!" Luke ran after him, but tripped and fell off the bus. Now he was falling through the air. But before he knew it, a parachute summoned out of thin air. "Whoa!" Luke screamed as he was suddenly not falling at 300 kilometers per hour. He landed softly at a gas station. He looked around before noticing an SMG on the floor. "Why is there a gun? This can't be what I think it is," Luke said before receiving a bullet in the shoulder. He screamed in pain and fell to the ground. He looked and saw and looked at a female basketball player shooting him with an assault rifle. He acted quickly, picking up the SMG and shooting her straight in the head. She fell to the ground and her corpse disintegrated. Luke watched. "What?" Luke said. Was that loud? That looked like it maxed out my microphone according to OBS. Okay, no it wasn't. He acted... What? Luke said. He felt nothing but confusion and fear. And a little horny. That basketball skin was hot. He noticed the basketball skin had dropped some items, including 25 gold bars. Luke gasped loudly. He ran over and quickly picked up the gold and stuffed it into his pockets. "I'm gonna be so fucking rich," he said, walking through the gas station. He saw a garage near the pumps and walked to it, and he saw it was a beautiful sight. A brand new state-of-the-art sports car. It looked like someone wanted to design an expensive Lamborghini, but also like triangles. "Oh, what's your name, you pretty little thing?" Luke said to the car. He noticed a nearby vending machine and pressed a button. Suddenly, he was angry. 25 gold bars for a blue Gatorade?" Luke screamed. He punched the vending machine, and suddenly 3 bottles of liquid came out of it, and the gold disappeared. "No, my gold bars!" he shouted, holding the blue liquid. He was really bummed out, but decided to drink it. He popped off the cork and took a big swig, and then he was in love. "My God!" Luke screamed. "Never in my life have I tasted a drink so goddamn delicious!" Luke spoke out loud for some reason. He took a few more swigs and finished the whole bottle. Then he started glowing for half a second. He felt powerful. He felt strong. He punched the windows of the sports car and climbed in. He noticed the name of the car. It was called a Whiplash. "Say that again?" said Terrence Fletch. Never mind. He started on the car and... That wasn't in the book. He started driving throughout the gas station. He took a swift right, and not even bothering to fuel up the car. He drove through and noticed a strange van, and eventually found a neighborhood. He realized he had been heavily bleeding for the past 2 minutes, so he got out of the car and looked out for something to patch himself up with. He went into a nice nearby ice creamery named Softies. There he encountered a man made out of ice cream. Luke saw him and almost jumped. "Jesus Christ! You're made out of ice cream!" he shouted. "Yeah, I know. My name's Little Whip," Little Whip said. Luke stared at him. He ran his finger along Little Whip and put his finger in his mouth. Don't? Little Whip said. "I had to know if it was real." "Wait a minute. Loopers can't talk. They're all mute." "What's a looper?" Luke asked. "You don't know? That's what we call the people who aren't like me," Little Whip said. "Well, what are you?" "I'm an NPC. You can buy things off me for gold." Man, gold is worthless here, hey, Luke said before checking his pockets. He had none. Ah, sorry, I got nothing, he spoke. Little Whip looked around, considering something. I don't normally do this, but you're clearly different from everyone else. Why don't we team up for free, Little Whip said. Really? Thanks, Luke said. They shook hands and ran out of softies. Suddenly, a quick but loud alarm sounded. What was that? Luke asked. That was the storm warning. We're not in the zone. We gotta go now, Little Whip shouted. Luke jumped into the whiplash and Little Whip followed. Luke looked and noticed a blue barrier quickly moving towards them. It was a dangerous weather event, known only as the storm. Florid! What's your name, by the way? Little Whip asked. My name's Luke, Luke said, quickly stepping on the gas. The car raced on the roads. The storm is faster than usual. Something's up, Little Whip said. You said Lupus can't talk. Maybe I've messed this place up by having the ability to speak, Luke said. Luke was going a clean 80 miles per hour, but the storm was still faster. It had reached the back of the car and was reaching its way to the front. How are we going to get out of this situation? Luke screamed. Little Whip looked around and noticed a button labeled Boost. Little Whip punched the button, and suddenly the rocket boost is activated. The boost whiplash was faster than the storm and managed to beat it as the storm stopped moving. Luke hit the brakes. He got out of the car and looked at the blue barrier. What are you doing? Little Whip asked, getting out of the car. Luke put his hand in the storm and screamed in pain. Ah! That hurt. You're pretty banged up. Take this. Little Whip handed him a medkit. Thanks, man, Luke said, using it. He noticed there was still another bottle of blue liquid to him. What is this stuff? That is a mini-shield potion. It gives you extra health to help with the battle, Little Whip said. The word battle rang through Luke's ears. He forgot there was a war going on. Luke could actually die here. He decided to drink the mini. It didn't taste as good when he remembered the thing going on around him. Suddenly, there was a rapid spray of bullets coming towards him. He quickly ran for cover behind the whiplash, and Little Whip followed. Little Whip, do you have a gun? All I got is this, Luke said, holding up his SMG. You're telling me you didn't loot up? Little Whip shouted. Another spray of bullets came in, causing the car to smoke. Luke gasped. Run! Luke shouted, running. Little Whip followed hastily as the whiplash blew up. Oh, man, Luke said. Look, gas stations, Little Whip said, pointing at the gas station Luke landed at. They quickly ran, dodging the bullets coming at them. Luke saw the loot of the basketball skin he killed, realizing there was a lot more than gold. She had a shotgun and an assault rifle, plus many healing items. There was also strange red gloves. What are these gloves there? Luke asked. Those are web shooters. It was a gift from Spider-Man, Little Whip said. Spider-Man? Web shooters? God, you can tell when this was written, can't you? Look, I'll take the regular car over there. You have your fun, Little Whip said. Luke put on the web shooters and started he started slinging through. Woohoo! Luke shouted as he swung from tree to tree, with Little Whips following in a car miles below Luke. Suddenly, someone saw the webs and shot them, causing Luke to fall. Fuck! Luke it says shit. I don't know why I didn't say shit. Luke shouted, falling. Little Whip noticed and quickly slammed down a bouncer, which Luke landed on. He fell slowly on the road near the bouncer, out of breath. Thanks, Little Whip, he said. Little Whip helped him up. He noticed the person who shot his web sneaking up on them. He looked like a humanoid wolf, like some kind of werewolf. Luke took quick action and pulled out an auto shotgun. He shot the wolf, but it shot back. Luke was shocked. Why didn't he fall to the ground like he did? That was a shotgun shot straight to the chest. There was no time to ponder. Luke aimed and shot the wolf again. Little Whip watched in fear. A little help? I don't have a weapon, Little Whip said. Luke quickly passed him the assault rifle, and Little Whip took a clean Little Whip shot a clean headshot on the wolf, calling it to focus. The wolf died. Luke cheered. He turned to Little Whip. That was amazing, Little Whip, Luke shouted. The two high-fived. All in a day's... he started to say, before a loud gunshot was heard, and he fell to the ground. As his creamy body melted onto the ground, he screamed. Luke picked up the cone of his partner and friend as it disintegrated. Your friend is dead, a familiar childish voice said. Luke looked up. It was none other than the grown child. You, Luke said. He was angry and felt no fear. It was nothing but pure rage. He shot the shotgun at the grown child, but he quickly jumped. The shotgun was holding 8 shots before he had to reload, and he had already fired 3 times. He shot a 4th, then a 5th, then 6th. All missed. The 7th shot lined up perfectly, shooting straight onto the grown child's chest. Suddenly, before even Luke knew it, he received a pump shotgun shot in the head. He fell to the ground in pain, but because of the way Fortnite works, he was not dead yet. He tried to get up, but failed. He was too injured. The grown child knelt down to him.
GG, easy,
he said, but suddenly the 8th shotgun shot hit him, and he was dead. Fuck! He started to say before he was disintegrated. Luke was still on the ground, but quickly realized he wasn't in pain anymore. He won. He watched the world around him fade and returned to the couch where he sat. He was covered in flaming hot Cheeto dust and spilled sugar-free Mountain Dew. Get up, Luke, you're a mess, Chloe said. Oh, Chloe, you won't believe the dream I had, Luke said, exhausted. What do you mean, dream? You were awake that whole time, Chloe said. Luke's heart sank again. So what you're saying is Fortnite is real? Luke said warily. It's not just real. We're in it. Welcome to Chapter 16, World War III. World War III? Luke shouted. Yeah, I just said that. What happened? So basically there was this weird company called Imagined Order, and they were exploiting a thing called 0 Point, which keeps all of reality in place. If they continue to exploit the 0 Point, reality as we know it will end, Chloe explained. Oh dear, Luke said. They have exploited it to the point where the Fortnite universe became real. Everyone became a looper, and when they died or won, they returned to the original spots. And when they returned, they realized the ones who died had died for real, and the only ones who had gotten a victory royale got to live. Oh, and by the way, our president is this guy named Harry Sweatdog. He ordered a war against the Imagined Order, and yeah, World War III, Chloe explained. Luke looked out at the mansion. The entire state of California was in war. There were good guys, bad guys, and explosions, as far as the eye could see. These idiots don't even know we're supposed to be fighting the Imagined Order soldiers, not just each other, Chloe said. There were cars crashing into each other, people getting into fist fights in the streets, there were zombies, mechs, helicopter. The skies had turned into a yellow-orange hue because that's how apocalypse works. Luke walked out and looked at the chaos in despair. What do we do, Chloe? Luke asked. Chloe just looked at him and smirked. We have to put together a team. Come on, man, let's go kick some ass, Chloe said. They hopped in the new Beetle, which was all beaten up and the windows were smashed. Luke strapped himself in. I'm sorry about the mess. I've been meaning to clear that up, Chloe said. I forgive you. Let's go, Luke said. Suddenly, Luke heard that storm alarm. What was that? We gotta go, now, Luke shouted. Chloe slammed on the gas pedal and the new Beetle charged forward. Chloe swerved to the right onto the main road. She tried to look in her side mirror, but it was missing. Look, I need you to look in the side mirror for me. Wait, did I think you couldn't look at the other side mirror through the driver's seat? When did I write this? I need you to look in the side mirror for me. Oh, just kidding. I can fucking do it myself because that's how they work. Anyway, where's the No, I know where the storm is. I'm looking, she spoke. Luke looked in the mirror. Why'd you say all that? Anyway, it's right behind us. So, who's our team? Luke asked. It was hard to hear over the new Beetle's roaring engines. It was not in good shape. Some old friends. I got their contacts. I'll quickly pick them up before the storm closes in, Chloe said. They swerved into Brown's plains and quickly knocked on Cash's house. Cash! We're putting together a team to stop Imagined Order, Chloe said. The door opened, and there was an IO soldier standing there. Chloe quickly pulled out a heavy shotgun and shot him 3 times. Cash, where are you? Chloe shouted. Cash walked out of his room. I was hiding from the guy, Cash said. Oh, we gotta go. I have a car. I'm gonna pick up the demo man and we're gonna find the doctor, Chloe said. Cash got into the back seat and Chloe took off. Wait, where's the retardus? Luke asked. Imagined Order stole it. Too bad it can't travel between parallel dimensions. Bad for them anyway, Chloe chuckled. Wait a minute. So every single Fortnite item has come to real life? Luke said. I thought I made that clear. In 2018, they did a limited time mode where the Infinity Gauntlet was an item, Luke said. Everyone's heart sank. Meanwhile, President Harry Sweatdog was shooting up a bunch of husks with his assistant, Bill Cosby. Bill was armed with a tactical shotgun, and Sweatdog had a classic scar. Bill, we have to find a helicopter. That way we can see what we're dealing with, Sweatdog said. Sir, the sky is yellow. That means we're in apocalypse. Haven't you seen any movies? Bill said, shooting a beehive husk. Sweatdog grabbed Bill by the arm and hid behind a rock. Behind the rock lay the Infinity Gauntlet. Holy shit, Bill said in awe. Fancy glove, Sweat Dog said, picking it up. Bill tried to stop him, but it was too late. Sweat Dog put on the glove, with all the stones loaded. "Sir, put down the glove, now!" Bill shouted. Sweat Dog stood for a moment, looking at him. "Why?" he asked. "It's everything as fucked up as it seems. I think that's the Infinity Gauntlet from those Avengers movies. If you snap your fingers, half of life as we know it will be erased," Bill explained. Sweat Dog looked at Bill, then at the gauntlet. "You're right. I'll put it down," Sweat Dog said, taking it off. He placed it firmly on the ground and sighed. "No man should wield that much power. A glove that could wipe out half the population. That's something that should never be created," he monologued, turning around to face the sun. "Killing a person is wrong, and to wipe out almost 4 billion of them is just unimaginable. Only something with absolutely nothing to lose would do such a thing. There's no way in hell that I'd ever let that person be me. And that's a promise I will take to my grave." Sweat Dog finished and turned around to see the Infinity Gauntlet firmly in Bill's hand. "Bill?" Sweat Dog asked, before Bill snapped his fingers. Sweat Dog watched in horror as his important business suit started to fade away before he did too. Before Bill could say something clever and witty, he received a bullet to the back of his head. It was from Luke. Bill fell to the ground. Cash and Chloe ran up to him. "Did you get him?" Chloe said. Luke held up Bill's dead body, lifeless. Chloe sighed in relief, and Luke started to walk towards the car. "Where's the president?" Cash asked. Luke stopped in his tracks. He looked around. "President Sweat Dog? Where are you?" Luke screamed. Then he looked at Bill. He was wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, but the stones weren't lit up like they normally were. Luke turned to Chloe. "Do you feel okay?" Luke said. Chloe looked to herself, then at Cash, whose legs were fading away. "Cash!" Chloe screamed. "What?" Cash asked, before disappearing completely. Chloe fell to the ground. She looked around and saw several imagined order soldiers and civilians begin to disappear. A pizza delivery guy ran up to Luke and grabbed him by the shirt. "Please, I don't want to go," he shouted, as he faded away into nothingness. Chapter 17, 50%. Suddenly, Luke had an idea. He turned to Chloe, who was still on the ground. "Chloe, I have an idea. The doctor, he's still alive. He's still in this tiny box thing. I think it's back at home," Luke said, walking up to her. She didn't say anything. "We can get Cash back. I promise," Luke said. He thought she was on the ground to mourn, but he quickly realized the truth. He watched as Chloe turned to dust. He stood there in silence, in shock. He knelt by where Chloe was, but was quickly brought back to his senses by the sound of the Scotsman. "Luke, I'm here. What do you need, laddie?" the man said. Luke looked at him, tearing up. "Ah, yeah, I know. I lost my mum. She was there, then she wasn't, you know," the man said, scratching the back of his neck. "We're going to destroy Imagined Order. We're going to save the people that guy snapped away. Are you with me or not, Demo Man?" Luke asked. Demo Man smiled half-heartedly and helped Luke up from the ground. "You better believe it, mate. Partners to the end," he spoke. Luke drove the new Beetle with Demo in the passenger. That's the second time I've been caught by this loose glass," Demo said. Luke didn't say anything. He was plotting ideas on how to stop the Imagined Order. "We should find their main base and just blow it up. That'll get them good," Luke said. "I like the sound of that," Demo said happily in response. "There's just one problem. I don't have any of my bombs," Demo said. Luke slammed on the brakes for dramatic effect. "What do you mean you don't have any of your bombs?" "I had to use them all to protect myself, from the apocalypse." "Oh, that's fair enough, but that's just annoying. Where are we supposed to get explosives?" "I don't know," Demo said. Luke started driving again. He arrived at his house, which had been completely vandalized. There was spray paint everywhere, and the windows and doors had all been broken in. Luke walked into his house. "This place was crystal clean an hour ago," he said, examining the mess. He saw they stole his Xbox 69 420 Pro Com Edition, his massive Dorito collection, and his pretty much every bit of his furniture. He walked into Chloe and Luke's bedroom, where he was now at gunpoint. "Hello, Luke," Fred DeFazbar said. "Impossible! I watched you die," Luke said, putting his hands up. "My death was greatly exaggerated," Fred said. Well, I'm gonna remind the audience why you're here. You're here for the doctor box, right? Yeah, well, that was the whole point of the war. Wait, you were behind all this? Trust me, it was my last resort plan. I didn't want this world to go to purge, but I had to do it for one goal, getting the doctor. Why do you want the doctor so bad? Luke asked. Fred laughed quietly. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time there was me. I was a husband and father to one son. One day, my son ate his mother. He spoke. Luke looked to him in realization. Hello, son, Fred said. Wait, what about Jared in part 1 of the audiobook? Who the fuck is Jared? Actually, I think he was a crackhead, never mind. What's this got to do with the doctor? Luke asked. Well, you and the doctor seem like great pals. I'm gonna take him away from you, like you took my wife away from me. I've changed, Dad. I'm not the shit idiot that I used to be all that time ago. I got 75,762 PhDs in science and building stuff. I went to a parallel universe, and I need the doctor so I can save reality. Luke was interrupted by Demo Man charging in and hitting Fred with a bottle. He was unconscious. What the hell, Demo? That was my dad, Luke shouted. Well, he was about to shoot ya, Demo said. Luke pulled off a framed photo of him and Jeremy, revealing a safe. He typed in a passcode, 2515, and opened it up. He pulled out the box and put it in his pocket. Let's go, Luke said, as Demo was tying Fred up to the bed. Luke looked at him with a confused look. What? Demo asked, walking out with Luke. They both went to the car, but it failed to start. Come on, Luke shouted, hitting the motherboard. Eventually it started, but Luke knew it wouldn't last long. They drove to a nearby pub, called the First Post. They quickly went inside. Why are we here? Demo asked. It'll give us a bit of privacy while I try to free the doctor, Luke said, placing it on the table. He realized he didn't actually know how to free him. He's tapped it a few times before picking it up and dropping it. Demo watched in confusion. He tried slamming it onto the table, but to no avail. Oh, come on, Doctor, how do I free you? Luke asked, before noticing a keyhole on the side of the box. Oh, I never noticed this, Luke said, showing Demo the keyhole. Well, where's the key? No idea, Luke said, before remembering something. Wait, I remember. It's in the retardus. What? Readily extraterrestrial traveling as rebounding directly in space. Retardus. Chloe said the imagined order took it, so we'll look there. Let's sleep first. We'll start the mission first thing tomorrow. Why is it near the slur? Because it's funny, sort of. Luke looked out at the First Post, where everything was quiet. There was nobody. He gestured Demo to follow him, which he did. Luke hopped into the Challenger, but it failed to start. He tried again and again and again. Stop it, you're gonna flood it. Why isn't it working? Wait, where did you keep the key to the Challenger? I kept it in the ignition, just in case we had to keep a quick getaway. Haven't you seen Breaking Bad? There was a whole thing about that. Don't do it or it breaks the engine. Well, I guess we're walking. So they did, and they kept walking. Nothing interesting happened. They kept walking through the town until they arrived at the main IO base. Now, Demo, this place will be crawling with guards, so our main plan here is stealth. Luke was suddenly interrupted by the familiar sound of an explosion. Give me a second. Oh, great. I don't have it. Okay, I did write it down. Now, Demo, this place will be crawling with guards. So the main plan here is stealth. Luke was suddenly interrupted by the familiar sound of an explosion. Demo laughed an extremely Scottish laugh. He looked around and saw a massive hole in the wall of the base. Let's go, Demo said. Luke sighed and walked in, and to his surprise, there was no one. They continued walking before they saw the retardus. Demo, look! Luke ran up to it, but he didn't have the key. Looking for this? A voice said. Luke turned around. It was Dr. Sloan, the main big boss for the imagined order. We need that. Hand it over. Dr. Sloan shook her head. No, lol, she said, running away. Luke gasped and grabbed a random gun nearby and shot her. The bullet hit her, but did nothing. Shit! She's beefy. They ran through the hole, shooting Dr. Sloan, but missing horribly. Demo Man hurled a few bombs at her, if she had a lot of health. Where did you get the bombs from? Luke asked, and Demo Man shrugged. Suddenly, Dr. Sloan cloned herself. They all surrounded Luke and Demo, and pulled out weapons. Luke knew it was the end. He closed his eyes. The guns fired, but Luke wasn't dead. He opened his eyes again, and the bullets were inches away from his face, but they weren't moving. Time was frozen. Luke looked around. Everything had come to a sudden halt. Suddenly, a figure came from the dark. "Hello, Luke," the figure said. "Who are you?" Luke asked. "My name is Duke Ex Machina. Here, take this," Duke said, holding out a powerful machine gun. Luke took it. Suddenly, time unfroze. The bullets hit the wall, and Luke fired a gun at the clones, killing them instantly. The Sloan clones. Luke smiled to himself. "Thanks, Duke." Luke took the retardus key and unlocked the retardus, and Demo Man followed him in there. "Oh," Demo said. "It's bigger on the inside." Luke looked around the interior and found a small key inside the console. He unlocked the box, and it started shaking violently. Luke quickly dropped it to the floor, and it exploded, and amongst the smoke was the one, the only, boy. Let me tell you a story. Well, I kind of have been for the past few hours, but anyway. Lucas H. Suckdy's Nuts was not always called the legendary name he has now. Back on Tuesday, 15th of October, 2019, I was bored as fucking class and started writing some random stuff in a Word document about a kid named Boy who ate shit. His name was Boy, remember that. Now, standing in front of Luke was his past self, Boy. "Bro, who are you?" Boy asked. Luke was in shock. He walked up to him, looking at everything. His swastika pants, his messy hair, his breath smelling like literal shit. "You're me from the past," Luke said. "The fuck do you mean?" Boy asked. "Look at me, your dialogue is weirdly not right. You're me before I grew up," Luke explained. "What that mean?" Boy asked. "How are you even here?" Luke asked. Boy suddenly pulled out a gun. Shoot at Luke. Luke jumped. "What the hell?" Luke shouted. Boy ran out of retardus. Luke looked out, seeing Boy run. Demo looked as well. "Yeah, I'ma leave too, Boy," Demo said, leaving too. Boy was running. Why older version of me? Boy thought. Suddenly, retardus appeared. The door opened. It was Luke. "What are you doing?" Luke asked. "I have to kill Colonel Sanders," Boy explained, normally. "Colonel Sanders died in an explosion about a year ago." "Nah, bro, that's Cap." "How did you get here? And where's the doctor?" "You mean Dr. Hotman?" Boy said. When he said that, Luke stopped. Dr. Hotman wasn't in Boy times. That was in 2021, almost 2 years before that. Luke looked at Boy. "I mean, who?" Boy asked. Luke took out a gun and shot Boy. The bullets went straight through him. Boy was bleeding, but the blood wasn't red. It was blue. Chapter 18, Shooting Blanks. Boy was in shock. Luke looked at the blue blood, confused. "What was that for?" Boy asked. Luke screamed and punched Boy, making him fall to the ground. When he hit the ground, he smashed into so many pieces. Luke kneeled and picked one of them up. On the outside, it was human, but on the inside, it was a blue ink-like substance. "What?" Luke shouted. He looked up. Everyone was staring at him with a blank face. He stood up quickly. They all started moving towards him. Luke ran into a nearby pub. It was the first post from earlier. Inside, Demo Man was chugging some whiskey. "Demo, you gotta help me!" Luke shouted. "What is it, laddie?" Demo asked. "Outside there was a guy who was smashed to pieces and he had blue blood and he was like made out of clay or something. We gotta get out of here!" Luke shouted, grabbing Demo's hand and pulling it. There was a loud pop sound, and Luke looked over. Demo's hand had come clean off. Luke looked at the hand, then at Demo. "It's only a matter of time before you get replaced, lad." "Why not make it quick?" Demo said. Suddenly, the window smashed as a bunch of people were climbing in. Luke was surrounded, but he had one trick up his sleeve. He pulled out his gun and shot all of them, covering the walls and floors with blue ink. He looked at the dismembered bodies and noticed they were kind of like Lego. "We don't want to hurt you," Demo said, extremely glitched out. Luke smashed Demo's head in with his fist. Luke took the whiskey Demo was drinking and drank it all in one gulp. Now Luke was very drunk. "Why didn't I go on a pub crawl?" he muttered. He ran to the next pub, the old familiar. Then he poured himself a pint of Dr. Pepper before being swarmed by a bunch of the blue blood people. He saw his mum and dad. "Damn," Luke said before killing them both. He ran to the next pub, the famous Cock. There he fought Elon Musk, a famous cock. He ran into pub 4, the Crossed Hands, where he fought a ton more. When he saw the dismembered bodies, he stopped. "Wait Wait a minute, I've been fighting the same group this whole time, he said, before watching as the people got up and repaired themselves. Luke grunted angrily before realizing he was out of ammo. The blanks got up and put one hand in the air, ready to attack Luke. Fuck, Luke said. Suddenly, their eyes lit up in a light blue. These guys were not human, in case that wasn't clear. I mean, Luke assumed that from the beginning, but this assured him. He ran to the good companions. There he saw blanks of Rose, Martha, and Donna from Doctor Who. He punched all of them and ran to the trusty servant. Then he saw a blank of Alfred. You can tell I'm running out of clever jokes. He then ran to the mermaid and saw a blank of a mermaid. Bruh, Luke said. The mermaids... Bruh. The mermaid started singing, and it was a beautiful sound. She was singing Chug Jug with you, and it was drawing Luke in. I really want to... Luke started to say before he was snapped out of his trance and punched the mermaid in the head. He had 8 pints of Dr. Pepper and he should really go home, but he couldn't leave now. He had come so far. Luke ran to the beehive where he saw a familiar face. It was Ronald McDonald. Luke stopped in his tracks. Why don't you sit down and have a drink with me, Lucas? Ronald said. Luke sat down with him, taking sips out of his Dr. Pepper. This was the first time in about 10 minutes he had finally stopped to think. His clothes were stained of blue, and he was severely out of breath. Listen, Luke, I forgive you for what you did. You may have killed me, but you killed Colonel too, and that's nice. But I think your time is up. I mean, this bullshit story has been going on for, 3 years now? I really think it's time we take a break, Ronald said. Luke took one final gulp of his Dr. Pepper. Nah, Luke said, punching Ronald in the head. Ronald's headless body stood up and hit the fire alarm. The windows smashed, the roof caved in, and the floor exploded. He was absolutely surrounded by blanks. Lucas H. sucked these nuts! You are pissing us off! The blank shouted in a robotic voice. By the way, what does the H stand for? The blanks asked. None of your business, Luke shouted. The blank started to attack Luke. He took out his phone and started playing a song. It was 20 seconds to comply. 20 seconds to comply! When the song was done, all the blanks were destroyed. That was easy. It was only a matter of time before they repaired themselves, so Luke ran to the next pub. It was the King's Head. In the King's Head, Luke was drinking the 10th pint. He was so close. So close. He looked around. He didn't see any blanks. Maybe they were gone, but he was incorrect. There was one who entered the room. They were wearing a hood, so Luke couldn't see who it was. He raised his hand to kill Luke, but Luke threw his glass at him and ran off. The blank was still intact. He pulled out a walkie-talkie and spoke to it. He's at pub 11. You'll get him there, the blank said. Luke was running to the 11th pub, the hole in the wall. He took a big swig of the Dr. Pepper before there were so many blanks. Even more of the beehive. Luke couldn't fight all of them off. Suddenly, there was a bright light speeding towards him. The wall smashed as a car drove through it. Luke knew what it was immediately. The shape, the headlights, the roof. It was the beautiful look of a 1998 Volkswagen New Beetle. Severely broken still. It had a cow catcher on it, which made it look badass. And inside the badass car was Chloe. Chloe? Oh, we're just gonna basically forget about the whole 50% thing? Alright, Luke said. Luke, get the fuck in! Chloe shouted. Luke punched a blank out of the way and got in the car. The car drove out with blanks scoring at it, trying to destroy it, but the cowcatcher was strong. Luke decided to drive out of town. Chloe, wait! We need to go to the last pub, Chloe said. Are you fucking kidding? We've gone too far. It's fucking suicide! I know, but I have to finish the pub crawl. No, you're my friend. I'm not letting you do this, Chloe yelled. Luke grunted and opened the door and jumped out. He started running towards the last pub. The world's end. Luke was running. He was so close he could feel it. And right behind him, moving at a snail's pace, was the car. Luke, get in the car, Luke said. Chloe said calmly. No! Luke shouted. He had an idea. Luke stopped running and the car stopped. Luke opened the hood and unplugged something. Luke, what the fuck are you doing? Chloe asked. Luke ran off. He pressed the gas pedal, but the car didn't move. Motherfucker! Chloe shouted. She got out of the car and started running after Luke. Luke reached the world end, where there was a table with a Dr. Pepper on it, ready for him. Luke picked it up and braced for it before Chloe pushed him. Luke fell to the ground. Chloe, what are you doing? Luke shouted. I can't let you have that Dr. Pepper. I don't want to know, I'm sorry. Why not? Luke shouted, standing up and picking it up. You're drinking yourself to my death over my death, but I'm okay. Listen, I know how it feels to lose someone. I wasn't even allowed to go to the funeral, but I'm here now. It's okay, Chloe said. Before Luke shed a single tear. He went to hug him. He went to hug her, but slipped and pressed a red button. The ground shook. The counter was actually an elevator and went down underground. Luke and Chloe looked around. There was an evil laugh that echoed the whole underground area. A man walked out in a robot suit. The robot suit was red and white, like a chef's outfit. The helmet covered his head. Luke instantly knew who it was. Impossible! I watched you die, Luke said. The man pressed a button on his helmet, and it opened up. It was Colonel Sanders. I got over it, Colonel said. You're supposed to be dead! You blew up! Luke shouted. Colonel laughed. His evil laugh echoed throughout the area they were in. Chloe was considerably confused. Wait, why is Colonel Sanders here, and when did he die? Chloe asked. Luke explained the whole thing with Ronald McDonald, Breaking Bad, and Jeremy. Chloe was still lost. And to be fair, so was the listener, probably. Colonel held up his hand, revealing a red button. When I press this button, it sends a signal to the president, Chloe said. Colonel said. Wait, who's the president again? Luke asked. Well, he was Sweat Dog, but he got blipped or whatever. I don't know if he's back. Chloe then blipped and came back somehow. I don't know. I guess Sweat Dog is just back. Colonel shrugged. Whatever, this button sends a signal to the president, which gives him the nuclear launch codes. Luke's? Really? Luke said, unamused. Huh? Well, in a story like this, Luke's don't seem that unreasonable. Are you seriously making a meta joke? Colonel asked. Oh, think about it. This story is not fucking nonsensical. It all started because of some 12-year-old kid with ADHD was bored in class, and it's gone so far from there. What are you saying? Colonel asked. Maybe you should launch those nukes. Put an end to this stupid world, Luke said. Colonel looked really bummed out and put his hands down. He sighed loudly. You really want me to do this? Colonel asked. No, Luke said. Chloe punched Colonel in the head, making him fall over and drop the button. Luke quickly grabbed the button and destroyed it. What do you want from me? Luke shouted. Colonel coughed loudly while Chloe was holding him down. What is your middle name? Colonel asked loudly. Is this what that's about? You could destroy the entire planet over my fucking middle name? You don't get it, Lucas. Your middle name isn't just an extra word on your full name. It's actually a password. A password? Yes. To what? Nobody knows. It is said that when Lucas Suckthese says his middle name, something will be unlocked. Good, evil, nobody knows. I came back to life and built this armor so that if it was something evil, I could stop it. It was only a matter of time before someone accidentally says it, Lucas. There's no way it's a name. It has to be a random jumble of letters that start with H. We have to stop whatever it is before someone comes across it and accidentally ends the fucking world. Colonel monologued. Luke stared at him, taking in this information. He thought about it for a second. His middle name causing the end of the world? It was uncanny. It was weird. There was nothing weirder than that. Luke looked at Chloe, then back at Colonel. So, what do we do? Luke asked. Well, I created a plan on a big piece of paper back in my workshop. Whoa, I'm not letting you back in your workshop. I can't trust you. Fine, go there yourself. The address is on this sticky note, Colonel said, handing Luke a note, which said 67 Bingus Street, California. Chloe, watch him. I'm gonna go get the plan. Chapter 19. The Crystal of Adolf Hitler. The retardus appeared in front of a big abandoned building. You have arrived at your destination, the retardus GPS said, which was pointless. Luke walked out of the retardus and opened the door to a building. He looked around. Luke sucked these nuts. I knew it was you, a strange voice in a chair said. The chair turned around and revealed a strange man with a huge mustache. Who are you? Luke asked. My name is Harry Sweat Dog. Mr. President? Wait, I become the president in the future? Sweet, Harry said. Luke was confused. Listen, I'm from the future, but I'm the past version of Harry Sweat Dog. I'm here to stop you from doing this plan of yours. How do you know about the plan? Because in the future, you do the plan and the world ends, like that movie. I just happened to be in a time machine as it was happening. Look, it's simple. Just don't say your middle name, ever. Do you know what happens when I do? Well, I was in the time machine, so now I don't. Oh, that's just great, Luke said. Harry handed Luke a key. It looked exactly like the key to the retardus. How did you get this? That time machine wasn't just any regular time machine. It was your time machine, Harry said, before standing up and opening a nearby closet, revealing a very scratched up retardus. In my timeline, you saved my life. Luke looked in shock. Where's me? Luke asked. Harry looked at him and Luke realized. So I die in the future, huh? You won't if you avoid doing this plan. Do not help Colonel Sanders. Kill him. And then our timelines won't be synced, Harry said. Luke looked at him funny. I've heard Harry's sweat dog voice before, and it sounds like you sound like you're doing an impression of him, Luke said. Harry looked a bit shocked before looking at his hand. It looked like it was bubbling and morphing. Harry looked at Luke and suddenly ran for the scratched-up retardus. However, the door was locked, and Luke had the key. Harry darted for Luke and tried to snatch the key off him. Give me that key! Harry shouted. Who are you really? Luke grunted, struggling to hold the key tight. Luke watched as Harry's face slowly morphed into his real form. Luke looked in horror. It was George McPedo. What? You drowned in that lake 2 years ago, Luke shouted. George laughed maniacally. I never actually died. I managed to dig a 3-block deep hole and covered it up so the water would stop flowing. I was completely fine. How did you get a hold of my time machine? That is actually from the future. You did say your middle name, but the world did kind of end. And you saved my life, but you thought I was Harry Sweatdog. Little did you know it was me, your greatest enemy. Do you know what happens when I say my middle name? I said I don't know, George said. Luke slapped him in the face really, really hard. I don't know, okay? George shouted. Luke looked at him. All I remember was drinking a polyjuice potion with Harry Sweatdog's DNA to get into the blue house to steal the crystal of Adolf Hitler. When you ran into the room I was in and told me to get in your time machine. When I was in the retardus, it started violently shaking. Then I pulled a lever and teleported me 2 weeks earlier near this workshop, George explained. Luke was confused. What's the crystal of Adolf Hitler? Luke asked. George suddenly looked very scared. I should not have said that, he said. Luke tied George up and ran to his retardus. Into his retardus and teleported back to the world's end. He saw Chloe and Colonel. Did you get the plan? Colonel asked. I forgot, but there's something more pressing at the hand at the moment. Have you ever heard of the crystal of Adolf Hitler? Luke asked. Yeah. Back in World War I, Adolf Hitler made this crystal. Whoever possesses the crystal gained one single wish, but it could be literally anything. Hitler asked for a bowl of noodles. Thanks, Colonel, Luke said before shooting him in the head. Look, what the fuck? We needed him! Chloe shouted. Listen, he was leading me into a trap. There was no plan at the workshop, only George McPedo. Didn't George McPedo die? Nope. He lived, and he was working with the Colonel to try and kill me. We need to keep George McPedo alive forever. He's the only one who knows the whereabouts of the crystal of Adolf Hitler. What the fuck is going on with the plot? I don't know, but we have no choice. We have to do this if we ever want to live past Volume 2. Anyway, we have to get the crystal. Chloe and Luke went to the retardus and teleported to the workshop. Are you going to tell us about this crystal thing? Are you sure he'll tell us about this crystal thing? I mean, he's not exactly our friend, you know, Chloe said. Don't worry, I got this, Luke said. The two walked up to George. Tell us more about the whereabouts of the crystal of Adolf Hitler, Luke said. No, George said. I won't tell you anything, George said. Come on. We have a machine that travels anywhere in time and space. We could literally take you to your perfect paradise. Come on, George. I'm never going to help you. Why not? Luke asked. George stayed silent. Luke walked to the side where Chloe was standing. What are we gonna do? Luke asked. Chloe sighed. I have an idea, but we're gonna have to assemble another team, Chloe said. Leaking water dropped from the ceiling. This room was damp and warm. A man walked into the room, admiring the complex machinery inside the room. This was no ordinary machinery, and this was no ordinary man. Suddenly the retardus appeared. The doors opened, and Luke stepped out. Hello, Luke, the man said. Hey, Walt. Nice meth lab. Can we borrow you for a few days? Luke said. Walter White nodded and stepped into the retardus. The retardus then appeared in an average suburban home. Holy shit, it's Luke, Peter Griffin said. Long time no see, Peter, Luke said. After Peter shut in, the retardus appeared to pick up the final member, who might not be as willing to join the crew. Luke stepped into a strange room. It was dark and cold, but there was a large body of water, a pool even. I actually have no idea who this character was meant to be. I wrote this like a month ago. I probably should have written down who the character was. Anyway, they just went and got Kevin from Final Space. I'm just eating chocolate. I really want to eat chocolate. I also want to read this, but yeah, I really like chocolate. I'm gonna have one more, and then I'll promise I'll stop. Oh, I don't like these ones. I was really annoyed earlier because it wouldn't let me log into my DeviantArt. Like, I typed in my username and a password, but it said wrong password. I tried all my passwords. I couldn't figure out what my password was, and then I clicked reset password and typed in my username to reset the password, and it says this account is a social account. Log into it. I'm just like, I can't log into my DeviantArt because I forgot the password. That's the whole fucking point of the forgot the password page. It was fucking bullshit. So I just can't log into my DeviantArt because it won't let me. It doesn't want me in. I don't know why. That just really annoyed me. Sorry, I had to rant about that. Okay, one more chocolate and I'll fucking continue reading this stupid story. That was a good one. Okay, yeah. Luke, Chloe, Walter White, Peter Griffin, and Kevin from Final Space sat around a table. So, here's what we know. The crystal of Adolf Hitler is somewhere in the Blue House, Luke said. He went silent. Anything else? Walter asked impatiently. Luke shook his head. And why are we here? Luke asked. That's what Kevin is for. Yay! Kevin is useful because baby Kevin's got the magic, and the magic's got Kevin. Walter bashed him on the head. Kevin will use his X-ray scanners to search the Blue House, but it's heavily guarded, so we'll need to disguise him as one of their own, and that's where Peter comes in. Peter laughed. Peter has connections to elite hackers linked to extreme organizations such as ISIS, KKK, and France. We'll register Kevin with a fake ID that will grant him permission into the Blue House. This is just like the time that Lois was a wanted federal agent who went rogue and tried to blow up 600 African... No time for cutaways, Peter. Go get your laptop, Luke said. Peter rolled out his eye. Peter rolled his eyes and pulled out a first-generation iPad. That's what you use to contact your elite hackers? Nobody expects a first-generation iPad. It doesn't even have a fucking camera, Peter said, tapping away. Suddenly, he looked shocked. Guys, you might want to take a look at this. The crew gathered around the iPad. There was a news report. I'm sorry, I can't fucking help it. Breaking news! There's been a report of an assassination on our president, Harry Sweatdog. Blah blah blah, the news reporter said. Hey everyone, the president's gonna walk through that curtain right now, said a random other news guy. The curtain swung over as Luke, Chloe, Peter, Walter, and Kevin could only watch in horror. Hey! Spamton G. Spamton said, glitching towards the podium. Shit! Luke shouted as Spamton spoke. Chapter 20. Ad infinitum. Thank you for electing me as your president. My first order is to increase all taxes by 10 kroner! Spamton said. Luke shook his head. There's no way we're getting the Christoph Adolf Hitler with Spamton as president. We're doomed. Look at him. He's a total nutjob. We'll get past him easily, Walter said. Luke turned to him. You don't know Spamton, Peter. I do. I played Deltarune. There's just no getting past him. Either we'll perish horribly, or let Spamton get the crystal for himself, and wish for God knows what. Probably 600 kroner, or the end of the world. Walter looked down, thinking, I think I know a thing or two about insane nutjobs. I was kidnapped by one and got out scot-free, he spoke. But my brother-in-law got PTSD or something, so I don't know. Luke looked at him. Walter stood up, pushing his glasses. Griffin, you got that ID? Just a second, Peter said. A strange man walked into the room and handed him a box. Thanks, Lois, Peter said, handing Walter the box. He opened it up and pulled out Kevin's fake government ID. All right, Crow, let's do this heist. The retardus appeared in a nearby forest, about 500 meters from the Blue House. In the retardus, Walter was taping a tiny device onto Walter was taping a tiny device onto Kevin. This will make it so I can communicate with you and see what you're seeing, even while far away, he spoke. That is so cool. It works perfectly. I can hear you so clearly, Kevin said excitedly. It's because we're standing right next to each other. Now go and do exactly what I say. When I say run, you run. Run? Got it. Kevin flew away. God damn it, whatever. Now, Kevin, approach the Blue House guards. Kevin flew up to one of the two guards, where he was standing with guns in their hands. Who are you? One of the guards said. My name is Kevin. I'm a Deep Space and sending a voice. Dr. Harold, what's his face? Can I see some ID? The guards began to say before glitching out of control. Kevin watched as their skin morphed and rippled. What the fuck? Walter shouted. Kevin looked around and saw the entire Blue House glitch. A statue outside turned into the statue of Spamton. Spamton, he did this! Luke shouted. He's taking over the entire world! He shouted. As two guards' eyes turned pink and yellow. Kevin, back away now! He's obviously found the crystal of Adolf Hitler! Walter shouted. As the screen Walter and the crew were watching turned to static, through the fog of the static, the phrase, "That's your chance to be a big shot!" appeared and flashed throughout. Spamton got Kevin, Luke said. He looked at the door and saw Kevin flying towards the retardus. Oh shit! Peter shouted, rushing to close the doors. Kevin got a hold of the doors and was trying to open them, but Peter was holding them. Don't you want to have a little fun, little sponge? Kevin shouted in Spamton's voice. There was no trace of him left. His iron exterior turned black and white with a pink-colored eye instead of his usual black. Peter, stop! I can just close the door from this lever, Luke said, pulling the lever. The door swung open, and Kevin grabbed Peter. Fuck! Peter shouted. Wrong way, Luke shouted, pulling the door the other way, closing the doors. Peter's muffled screams somehow echoed the entire retardus, but slowly turned into maniacal laughter. You two can have a communion, Peter shouted. Any more bright ideas, genius? Walter yelled, very angry. Luke turned on the outside camera. Peter had pink and yellow eyes. His nose was extended and sharp. His skin had turned plain white. He wasn't Peter anymore. Luke pulled the teleportation lever, and soon the retardus was floating through the time vortex. Oh, what now? We can't stay floating in the vortex forever, Chloe said. Walter sat down on the stairs, head in his hands. We could find another planet to live in or something. I'm sure there's one out there just like us. No way, man. Earth is our home. We gotta get it back one way or another. Walt, you're a super genius. Surely you can think of something. Chloe looked at him, looking heartful. Walter looked up. Our families. Friends. Taken over and turned into that spam guy. All because some idiots don't know how to have a good goddamn president, Walter said. Wait. Spamton. Spam. He's literally spam. A living advertisement. And what's something advertisement can do nothing against? Walt and Luke stared at Chloe. Wait. No, Chloe said that. Okay, Chloe said that. Luke and Walt stared at him blankly. Adblock, Chloe said. That's a thing? Luke asked. You've never heard of Adblock? Chloe said. Walt and Luke just looked at each other. Look, the point is we can defeat him. Do you know where your real-life keyboard is? I think I left it at my house, Luke said. Chloe sighed and pulled out the teleport lever. The retardus appeared in the workshop of the house. When Luke stepped out, he saw the workshop had gone completely black instead of white. Black and white, I mean. Why did I say that? He's got our house already. Let's just go before we get found, he spoke. I'll go, Walter said. Walt? No, you can't go. You'll risk your life. I'm just a side character. I'm gonna get it and probably die. And the plot probably won't be too different without me. Alright then. Go, Chloe said, handing him a gun. Walter took the gun and ran out. The house was the same, except for the fact it was completely black and white and glitchy, and I already said that. I don't know why I wrote that again. There was a pedestal with a touch-tone telephone. Walter walked into Luke's room and grabbed a keyboard and ran out. As he was returning to the retardus, the telephone started glitching. Walter stared at it and walked towards it. He picked it up and put it to its own. Whoa, if it isn't a lightner! Spamton shouted. Walter was suddenly struck back, as if he was in pain, except he was. He watched in horror as his skin turned pale white. He ran to the retardus and threw the keyboard as Luke caught it. Walter, Luke shouted. Go now! Walter shouted in Spamton's voice. Walter suddenly looked down and screamed. Was the only thing Luke could hear. Walter stopped screaming and looked up. All alone on a Saturday night? Walter shouted. Luke screamed as he slammed the door shut, splitting Walter's now black and white hand from the rest of his body. Outside the retardus, Walter was slamming and banging the door with his last hand. These deals are so good, I'll cha-ching myself! Walter screamed. Luke pulled the teleportation lever. The retardus transported just outside Earth's atmosphere. He opened the door and kicked Walter's hand out into space. He sat down and watched as his home slowly became more and more black and white. We got the keyboard. Let's save the planet, Chloe said, hand on Luke's shoulder. Luke blushed and nervously took it. All right. Let's install Adblock, I guess, he said. He started typing away at the real-life keyboard, like the thing, like he used it to access the real-life main menu, if you guys remember that. I don't know if you guys remember that. He started typing away at the keyboard as Chloe connected it to the shitty laptop I used to write this story sometimes, but not all the time. Luke also made a cable connected to a strange vat of acid that Walter had gathered in his meth lab that Luke borrowed. As he was typing, red-colored armor began to form in the acid, then a red shield and a scythe. Luke pulled out the armor and equipped the scythe. He then set the retardus to teleport inside the Oval Office, but the machine started making wheezing noise whenever Luke pulled the lever. Oh shit. Santa must have heard on some of the anti-teleportation thing, Luke said. Well, that's fantastic. How are we gonna get inside the blue house? Chloe asked. Luke looked at Chloe. Hand me my shovel. I'm going in. The retardus teleported outside of the blue house. Outside, multiple Spamton guards were patrolling. They turned their attention to the box, anticipating the opening of its doors. Boss, Luke is here, one of the guards said. Suddenly, the doors burst open, and Luke hit one of the guards with his mega shovel that kills people. The other guard started charging towards Luke, but he cut him in half with a scythe. With the scythe. He ran to the blue house as alarms and Big Shot by Toby Fox played. Spamton, come get me, you stupid son of a malware, he shouted. Multiple Spamton guys shot towards him, but there were no match for Luke's shovel and scythe. He bunked and cleaved, turning 10 Spamton guards into piles of nothing. He turned to the black and white holes. Nothing could stop him, but Luke had an idea. As Luke turned the corner, he saw a Spamton guard in front of the lever. I will pull it! He pulled it. A massive door opened, letting out... Oh! Hold on. A massive door opened, letting out a massive beast that resembled the Ravager from Minecraft. He stomped on the ground, killing him instantly. Luke's jaw dropped. Oh, he didn't kill Luke, he killed the guard. He started running as the beast ran closer and closer. Eventually, Luke reached a dead end where it was just him and the beast. Luke gulped loudly as the beast prepared to stomp Luke with its massive hoof. But just as it was landing, Luke quickly held up the shovel. The hoof stopped on the shovel, making the beast retort, but destroying the shovel. Luke was sad, but there was no time to grieve a shovel. He quickly ran past the beast as it screamed in pain, but quickly came to its senses. Chapter 21. Big Shot. Luke ran into a massive hole in the blue house and closed a massive door. The beast ran into it, but the door was strong. Luke knew the door wouldn't last long, however, so he quickly looked around for some way to escape. Then he realized the hole he was in. It was the hole from when he had control over the entire world. He knew there was a secret Ferrari underneath the stage, so he ran to the stage and pressed a button. The beast broke down the door and looked around. Luke was nowhere to be seen. It sniffed around and picked up the scent of burning petroleum. Its eyes widened as it realized what was about to happen. The stage quickly turned into wood chips as the Ferrari drove out of it, landing on the beast's head. The tires rubbed against the beast's face as the rapid speeds caused it to trip and fall over, and the Ferrari got stuck on the beast's massive horn. Luke noticed the car smoking, so he quickly jumped out and ran for the whole... Fucking hell, can I read? As the car exploded, the explosion was loud, and soon Luke was surrounded by Spampton guards. He knew the layout of the blue house pretty well, however, and knew he was close to the Oval Office. Luke stared at the guards, counting them as they held up their shields. There were 7, and they were ready to kill Luke after any sudden move he made. Luke knew in this and stood completely still. "Hold still, or we will fire our weapons!" Spampton guards shouted. Luke stood completely still. Suddenly, all 7 guards started screeching like crazy and stopped existing. Luke was confused and suddenly saw the door to the Oval Office. He ran inside and went to open it, but it opened itself on his own. And there he was. Spampton G. Spampton. The ringleader, the kingpin, the final, not quite final boss, but you know. He was standing on his desk, seemingly unarmed, but Luke knew he had much more powerful than a gun. After all, he was a salesman. "This has gone too far. Let Earth be as it is," Luke shouted. Spampton didn't move or say anything. Luke pulled out his ad box scythe and lunged himself towards him. "Hot singles in your area! Click here now!" Spampton shouted. Luke was launched back, falling on his back and sliding onto the ground. He picked himself up and was dusted himself off. He ran towards Spampton again. "One weird tip discovered by a mom! Number 5 will shock you! Number 5... Spampton shouted again. Luke was launched back further, slamming his arm against the wall. Luke had heard a massive crack in his arm and he screamed in pain. His scythe arm was broken. There was no way he'd defeat a guy using a scythe in his left hand. With his right arm broken, he decided to stop trying offense. Now it was time to defend. Luke pulled out his ad block shield. Spampton burst out laughing. Luke scowled at him. This was the man who ruined California, who ruined the world, and here he is laughing. Luke slowly walked towards Spampton. "Crazy people who actually..." Spampton couldn't finish as the ad hit the ad block shield. "Idling blocked," Spampton said before screaming in pain. He noticed his side was cut by this. He looked at Luke and Luke smirked. "You won't believe that idling blocked." Spampton screamed louder in pain but was quickly sent another ad. "School children found to just like idling blocked." Spampton fell to the ground in pain, clutching his chest. The shield was working, but he noticed it was wearing down. He then looked to his chest, which was gashing. Black blood. He looked up at Luke. "Don't kill me! It's not my fault I'm idling blocked," Spampton said while Luke was still holding up the shield. "Put the damn shield down! I'm trying to help!" Spampton shouted. Luke raised an eyebrow and slowly lowered it. "It's not my fault I became your president," he spoke. Luke looked curious, but ready to raise the shield if necessary. "I was forced into this role by a strange man. His name was George or something," Spampton shouted. Luke quickly realized George McPetto was the reason Spampton was president. "Then, why did you use the crystal of Adolf Hitler?" Luke asked. "What crystal? You mean the crystal of idling blood?" Spampton said before screaming and then quickly exploding. Luke ran out of the blue house covered in black blood. He managed to clean most of it off, but he was still mad about it nonetheless. He opened the door to the retardus with his left hand and walked in. "Luke, you okay? I heard an explosion," Chloe said before noticing Luke, armed, broken, and covered in black blood. "Holy shit," Chloe said in awe, but then Luke pulled something out of his pocket. It was a red crystal with a swastika on it. It was the crystal of Adolf Hitler. "I got it. Now get me a fucking doctor," Luke said. Later at the hospital, Luke was getting his arm in a cast. Dr. Hotman was there. "Thanks, Dr. Hotman," Luke said. Then he realized something. What was the Dr. What the fuck is going on? What was going on? What's with the doctor box? Then he remembered the thing with Boy. Obviously it wasn't the real doctor box, but he couldn't remember where the real one was. He snapped his fingers and the retardus appeared in the hospital room Luke and Dr. Hotman was in. Hotman watched in awe as it appeared. Luke opened the door and stepped inside. "Don't worry, Dr. Hotman, I'll be back in like 2 seconds. It's a time machine," Luke said, as the retardus doors closed and it disappeared. Dr. Hotman dropped his checkboard in shock. The retardus appeared in the workshop where Chloe was setting up a safe. Luke stepped out. "Hey, Luke, isn't it kind of dangerous keeping one of the most powerful items in the entire universe in our house?" Chloe said. "It's called a safe for a reason," Luke said, and walked to their bedroom. Fred Fazbear was still tied up to the bed. "I hope you burn to death," Fred said. Luke ignored him, and he opened up the safe where he kept the doctor box originally, but it wasn't there. Luke looked in confusion, then looked at Fred. "Where is it, Dad?" Luke asked. "I don't know. I've been tied up to your bed for like a month. By the way, I'd really appreciate it if you untied..." Fred didn't unfinish before Luke slammed the door. Fred rolled his eyes. Luke ran to Chloe, who was just about to leave the workshop. "You know where the doctor box thing is? You know, that box that appeared when the doctor died in that parallel universe from eating ice cream that turned into a corporate businessman?" Chloe stared at him. Luke sighed and just walked past her. Chloe put her hand on his shoulder. "Don't go. You have to rest your arm," Chloe said. Luke nodded and sat down on the couch and launched Solitaire on his Xbox 69 420 Pro Com Edition. As he was placing the cards, he noticed something. The higher numbers always overcame the lower ones. No matter how big you are, there is always someone bigger. Unless you're the king. Luke quickly switched the TV channel to the news. "Good evening, I'm blah blah blah. As our new president, Jan Spampton G. Spampton, was unfortunately murdered, I'm glad to announce the world has returned to normal and our new president is about to be announced." The TV suddenly cut to the Oval Office where Okay, so when I was writing this, the fire alarm went off, and I just wrote the fucking fire alarm just went off and scared the shit out of me. I just wrote that in all caps. That was funny. Anyway. 1 second. Anyway, there was an office chair turned away from the camera. Blah 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 began to speak. "He's a fearless man who stopped at nothing to make sure Spampton was brought to justice," blah 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 said. Luke raised his eyebrows. "He killed Spampton. Who is this guy, and why is he stealing Luke's bragging rights?" Then the office chair turned and Luke stared at the screen. It was Luke. Luke stared at the Luke on TV. He had much cleaner hair and a shadow. This Luke was much older than the Luke we know and love. "Chloe, look," Luke said. Chloe looked at the TV, then back at Luke, then TV, then 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 Luke. "How is this possible?" Chloe asked. "This Luke must have traveled here using the retardus. But what am I doing here? Why am I the president?" Luke said. Then he notices the future Luke's arm. It was gone. No cast, nothing. Luke then looked at his own arm, which was still in a cast. What happened to his arm? It probably healed. This was all very confusing, but Luke knew what to do. He ran to his room and opened the door. "You're from the future, right, Dad?" Luke asked. Fred looked to him silent. "Why did I come back here to become the president? And where's my left arm?" Luke asked. Fred pointed to Luke's left arm. "There." "Oh! This future Luke doesn't have an arm. That's what I meant. That was not clear at all." "Where's my there," Fred said. Luke rolled his eyes. "Look, if I untie you, will you help me?" Luke asked. Fred looked at him. "All right," Fred said. Luke untied him from the bed and Fred immediately ran. Luke ran to catch him but realized he was running to the fridge. He started eating and drinking everything in there. After he finished, he let out a huge burp that made the fridge, jump in the air for a second. "All right, where should I start?"